Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be, my humble friends and neighbors and subscribers. I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I greet you as always with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. Today seems to be a busy day for messages and for discussions of things, and I hope this one will be as enlightening or as helpful in other ways. Now, the title of this is Knowledge um, is Valuable. And in so many ways in it, and I put on in all levels. Now, so of all the things that we could have, and I did a video earlier, actually it was yesterday now because now this is Saturday instead of Friday, but I discussed about what is valuable in life. What do we see as valuable? And one of the most valuable things, hey Chloe, how are you? One of the most valuable things in the universe, in all levels, spiritual, on this planet, what is the most valuable? More than gold, more than silver, more than any precious metal, and it's knowledge. The answer is very simple it's knowledge. Good, thank you very much, Chloe. But one of the things that a lot of people, I think, in my discussions and in my as a watchman and as a spiritual person, and just looking at how other people react in this world, I realized that they don't really put knowledge up there too much as a commodity. They put schooling and college and education as high up there. And well, if you went to Harvard or something, that's not what I'm discussing. I'm discussing knowledge of things, the nature of things. I did a video the other day about the difference between natural science and the science of the human 3D reality and the differences. And that we need to be careful with what they try to teach us, which is actually probably not true. It's only true up to a point. So we have to, as beings, understand that the knowledge that we receive, how do we use it? How do we take it? Now, let me use it as an example as the hurricane that came through here last year. Now, those of us who have knowledge of storms and of having our lights turned out in the country, we turn to our basic knowledge. We turn to each other. There were folks who had been down my driveway and cut trees down that had came over my driveway with a chainsaw. So if I needed to leave the house, I could, but they wanted to check on me. And so people in the neighborhood came together in ways that was really, really astronomical. It was really wonderful. People checking on people just because. Lines down everywhere. Nobody had power for days. And so the best thing that we could do was hunker down, as they say. But the thing is that, without power, well, so I got 12-volt batteries. Well, I got a truck battery. Well, I've got 12-volt lights. Well, I've got this. Well, I've got that. Well, now I'm prepared. But there are other people who aren't necessarily. But the thing is, for example, there were people who lost their roofs and things. Well, they pulled out pieces of tin and they were able to patch up parts of their roof. They used what they had to patch up what they could until other arrangements could be made. So if you have the knowledge of being able to take a couple of pieces of, if your house is torn apart or something, and you need some shelter, you take what's there. You use the basic knowledge that you have. If it's a little bit of construction, and it doesn't mean that you have to be a full-fledged carpenter, but if you have a little bit of construction knowledge, just how something goes up, you can take, parts of your house that have been blown away by a storm and prepare a room or something safe place enough for you to stay. So the knowledge of how to take care of something or to deal with a situation is much more valuable than gold or silver or whatever. Because when the hurricanes went through last year, it spawned several tornadoes that ripped a bunch of places apart, plus all the power lines. And so, there were people who had to make do with what they had. The knowledge of being able to scrape a few things together and solidify a shelter or cover up a hole or whatever, the knowledge of those basic things are really important. How to start a fire. There was plenty of wood down, let me tell you. But of all the things, if we had wood down, but if you couldn't start a fire, didn't have basic understanding, there are a lot of people that had a lot of stuff in their freezer, and it was time for a cookout. What else can I say? But it's better that if you took the meat in your freezer and you cooked it, turned it into jerky or something, it would last for a couple of days without refrigeration, so that you didn't lose all that raw meat in your freezer, for example, or in your refrigerator. There are things that people could do, and those of us who knew what to do, we did them, and we made it. We all survived. I don't think anybody died because of the direct cause of the hurricane, but there were people who may have died because the electricity was out and they were on some kind of life support. Not sure how that turned out down here in the South, but it could have been much worse. But the basic knowledge that some of us old timers have down here in the country, and that we're uh, that we pass along to as many young folk as we can, and that's the knowledge of how to deal with any kind of situation that might come along in the simplest of ways, because in the long run things will work out. But if you don't have basic knowledge of things, now that's about the hurricane and the storm and whatever. In my area down here in South Georgia, there's also, I understand we're in one of the worst droughts again. Last year we went 60 days without any rain whatsoever, not even a trace. So I'm prepared. I have stored water, and but where other people don't have this, and their wells are dry. There are ponds that are pretty much dried up. I was shocked the other day. But people like us, we understand, so we store water. We stop taking so many long showers because we want to preserve the water we have. Now, Hawkeye, you say, well, what's this got to do with it? This is knowledge. This is knowledge that if we don't have rain for another 10 days, we need to slack off. We need to not, run the sprinklers. We need to be careful, because in the next 10 days, we may not get any sizable amounts of rain. And that's just going to extend our drought down here. So people out there in California with fires, learn how to get out, learn different ways to get out. You never know. Learn what your area is. Now, we don't have I don't live in an earthquake prone zone. But those folks who do should be prepared. It's the knowledge that will save you. Now, that's in this physical 3D reality. Now, let's jump this up a notch into the shaman realm. The knowledge of natural things, of all things natural. And so, if you understand natural things, if a tree's blown down, you know how to take the tree and parts of that tree and make you a shelter if you need it. I mean, that's a sort of a natural thing, and understanding the natural properties around you in order to, it's the knowledge of being able to take, well, a tree blew down, my house is crushed, and I'm going to take parts of the tree and parts of my house, and I'm going to make me a shelter until things can get straightened out. Because sometimes things are very temporary, but very necessary. But without any kind of basic knowledge, then how are you going to survive? Well, how are you going to survive in the spiritual realm if you don't have basic knowledge? And as a shaman in training, as each of us are, as spiritual beings, then we need these basic knowledges. So a lot of times, people, for example, back in the day, they built houses on where the 2x4s are on 2-foot centers. A lot of those houses didn't make it because we found out that 16-inch centers on centers in a house or a structure, and using hurricane clips and things makes the house much stronger and will withstand higher winds, and they do. And so we have learned things over the years. So an older home might fall down because of the way it was built in the day. We have enough knowledge about these kinds of things, and now we do. Now, I do think that, some of these builders have gone a little overboard with some of these things, but that's my personal opinion. Won't go there. But the idea, though, that it's the knowledge that we learned, because when we tried it a certain way for a bunch of years, we realized that if we add a couple of boards in there, it makes everything more strong and more solid. If we pack the walls with insulation, we can keep our houses warmer instead of freezing to death in the wintertime like the old timers did. They didn't understand about some of these things about insulation and so forth. We learn things. It's the knowledge. It's how we have survived with all these years, when things on top of this planet are really crazy, versus living in a cave or something like that. So we don't care what really happens to the planet. We're going to be safe inside a cave somewhere. So we've built our own little caves with structures and things like that. But spiritually now, let's think about this on the next level. So how do we prepare ourselves for any kind of tragedies or any kind of misgivings or any kind of things that may come our way? And it's because we understand the natural order of things. We understand the natural power of of nature. And I don't mean just of trees and rocks and things like that. Knowledge is the power, Chloe. It absolutely is. And it's not just in going to school, it's the natural knowledge. One of the things I preach about all the time, that a lot of people say, well, I'll go to school and learn this, but that's not practical. And if you don't learn about the natural order, the power that's available to each and every one of us, when we understand the power of nature and the natural power, and that we are a part of it and that we share it. Piper BP, the basics are often overlooked. They're always overlooked in my opinion. But I agree with you, and it's the basics that I try not to preach, but I know I am, because it's like, listen, pay attention. It isn't about religion, it's about spirituality. Regardless of your religion, we are all spiritual beings. So when you understand, when you take yourself out of religion and understand that spiritualism is so much more and above just religion. It includes all religions on all levels and all spirituals and all dimensions and all types of realms and all kinds of universes. When you allow yourself to transcend that level of thought within yourself, you become more of a spiritual being, because you go, oh, holy crap, there's a whole new level to this stuff that I just didn't quite understand. And it's through the basic knowledge of nature. You can still have religion, but there's more to it than that. And as a shaman, in training, as we all are, as spiritual beings, we're trying to be the best that we can be. And that's what a shaman is. They wish to understand excuse me, we wish to understand natural things so that we may share them, heal other people, um, allow other people to understand what we do in their own way to achieve their own level of higher spiritual being. It's important. As a shaman, you must understand that at some point you must teach what you know so that others will. Um, so other people will have a path to follow, or someone that they like, okay, you guys know me through my channel, but I know people personally. And so when I'm able to touch them, discuss with them some of these spiritual higher thoughts, if you will, and say, listen, when you're compassionate towards another person or other beings or whatever, you have reached a higher level of spirituality that some other people who just go to church and tithe and they pay their dues and that's it and they go home. But people who are compassionate, regardless of whether they go to a church or not or subscribe to any religion, is that they're being compassionate from their heart. They're being human. They're showing their humanness. They're showing their kindness. They're showing their knowledge of natural things and the power of compassion and how natural that should be. We see a wounded animal, most of us would stop and try to help or fix or whatever. um you know there if someone is in need, a lot of us will stop and be the good Samaritan when we can. That's higher spiritualness. That's a knowledge of, listen, I think I have enough something to stop and help this person. If nothing else, I have enough willingness or compassion. That's knowledge, whatever it may be. It's all valuable, because anytime I've someone has ever helped me, I've always somehow tried to help back or pay forward. And so, in the grand scheme of the universe, I realized that everything is a payback. When you pay forward, you get paid back. Is that knowledge? Yes. Is it important? Yes. Is that what people talked about years ago about the secret? Absolutely. The secret is believing in what the future can bring to us. When we pay now for something that we may need help from somewhere in the future, who knows, but we pay it forward without any expectations of having to need it in the future. But this knowledge is powerful, it's valuable. And so you help your neighbor now, and if something really crappy happens, it's not that they feel guilty or obligated, but they're more willing because you gave. And they say, let me go check on this guy down here. Let me go check on my neighbor. And even people who have, have been at odds with each other can find a solidarity in certain things. But with the knowledge of that, that's what's valuable. That's what basically boils down to. Argue, argue, argue. You borrowed my rake, you didn't bring it back, talking about a neighbor, and say, but listen, let's forget about it. We both are without electricity. Let's pool our resources and see if we can't help both of our households out or our families. And all of a sudden, whatever differences were between you, they ain't there now, because now you have to work together for a common cause. That's knowledge. That's working together. That's compassion. That is value. What is gold going to do you if you and your neighbor, what are you going to trade? Gold pieces after the tornadoes went through and ripped your neighborhood apart? It ain't doing you a bit of good. And you damn sure can't take it with you. But the value of spiritualness, and being able to say, I may have held a grudge with my neighbor, but I'm going to be a higher person and say, forget about this. I need to be a higher person in this. I need to be I want to be a higher spiritual being. So therefore I must forgive, and this bygones be bygones. And because we need to work together on a common goal. I'm thinking of a tragic event here, but to the same point though, it doesn't have to be a tragic event. It's our choice whether or not we wish to be a higher spiritual being, and continue with our compassion and be able to share it with other people when they least expect it. We don't have to have a catastrophic event to do it. Hello, Michelle. Gerald, I think. I don't have my glasses. Chloe, I see you there. Michelle, Aurora, Rain, good to see you again. Nice y'all showing up and hanging out. But understand that the basic knowledge of things, like there are things that I've known for 40, 50 years. I've known as a Boy Scout going back into the 1960s that are still valuable today. I mean, it always learn where you live. So I live in South Georgia. There are certain things, and in the woods down there, if I needed to survive, I know where there are turkeys hanging out. I know how to track animals if I'm going to kill them. But I know how to fish. I have crawdad traps. One of them I found in my backyard earlier this evening. I was like, "Ooh, crawdad trap." I know how to take a palmetto bush, and what I know what swamp cabbage is. I know when other people are going to be starving, if anything like that ever happens. I know how to go to the woods with my machete and take care of business, and still survive and get by. Other people don't have this basic knowledge. It's forgotten. It doesn't matter anymore. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to get that bad. My point is I learned this as a Boy Scout in the 1960s. This is not like some kind of mystical stuff. Anybody in their area should learn what you can eat, what's available. If anything happens, or just for whatever, know your medicinals, know your this and that, know what's in your area. You never know what may happen. That's just knowledge. Now, that's how you prepare. You can store a bunch of food, you can store a bunch of valuables, you can store a bunch of ammunition, but if you don't know how to use any of it, or how to participate in the natural, you're not going to be able to participate in the spiritual. Because in the spiritual, there are a lot of enemies out there on a lot of different on a lot of different levels. I got the hiccups here. Excuse my hiccuping. But on a lot of different levels. So that what you do, the knowledge of one of the things that will get you in trouble in the spirit world right away is the fear of these entities. Well, you don't know who they are, but here, let's just put it very frankly. There are entities out there that are not our friends, and we should not be poking our nose into places where it should not go. So that knowledge is power in itself. So if you know that there are entities that out in the voids out there and in the universe, then why would you set yourself up for something where you might get rattled, smacked, or otherwise possibly overtaken by one of these critters? So what you need to do is understand they exist. That's first off. That knowledge right there will help a lot of people out. Because if you don't know they're out there and you start doing all these fancy things and want to channel and all this other kind of stuff, and you're new at this and you're a novice, then you could get yourself into trouble. So it's the lack of knowledge that could affect you. The more knowledge you have of these things, now you can look at the spirit realm and go, well, wait a minute now, maybe I shouldn't go tiptoeing over there because that could really get me in trouble. I know that it's really interesting. We've had talks about sigils, for example. I'm very much against sigils because they can get you in trouble. There should be your personal signature of something. Now, I could sign my signature and nobody signs it like me. And so that my signature in and of itself is a sigil, if you will. So, so I could have a coat of arms, or I could, like the old days when the kings and princes and all had put a little bit of wax on an envelope and stamped it. That's kind of like a symbol. So you could have a coat of arms, your own personal thing that says, this is Hawkeye's seal of approval or my seal of whatever it is. But with that said, to come up with sigils to lock things, open things, whatever, that's delving into something. And unless you have enough knowledge, you should stay the muck away from it. You know what I'm saying? Now, there are lots of pros and cons, but the whole point is, how much knowledge do you have? I know folks who have been in the spiritual business for a long time, and they wouldn't touch doing sigils with a 20-foot pole. Okay, 10-foot pole's bad enough, but these folks wouldn't touch it with a 20-foot pole. So why would anyone who is a novice at this even consider it? Listen to your elders in some of these things. It doesn't mean they can't be used, but you need to acquire the knowledge and the wisdom of the universe before you go dabbling in stuff you don't have enough knowledge and information about. So knowledge is very valuable. It will keep you out of some deep doo-doo, some really bad smelly deep doo-doo that could literally affect you in the next life. And whoops, Bob. Hello, Bob, to the AI. Salute. This is my third or fourth time today. So actually this is Saturday, but we're not counting. As far as videos, I noticed a little lag in there. Hello, Gerald, Chloe. Those things are things that everyone should know. And it's sad that they're not taught anymore. Let me put my glasses on. That's why no one will survive going off of what we're taught these days, because everybody's reliant on calling someone else to help them, paying someone else to fix it. And I agree. It did not get Tiny Tim in trouble. Oh, God bless Tiny Tim. Yes. Chloe, well, who says that though what the story ended there was the rest of the story? ATM is a sigil. Very good, Gerald. The thing about this whole thing, though, is that it's about knowledge. So if somebody thinks they've got enough knowledge that they can go messing with sigils, I'm not going to try to like jump in their way, but I will. My warning is the same. After all these years of all the things I've learned that sigils is not where I need to be going. You know, now I use animal cards. I have used runes. There are different things that I still use. A little bit of, you know, I got 2 pieces of copper wire that I've been using for years. Other people buy them, you know, to divine and stuff. I've been using this for way before it was even popular. Back in the late 70s, early 80s, I learned about, well, actually it was the early 80s that I learned about copper wire and all this stuff, and people make them and things. And that's all fine and dandy. But the thing is that there are people who've been divining with peach switch, what they call a peach switch, or a live oak tree branch. You know, so people have been using natural energies to answer questions of the universe for a long time. This is not something new. People have been divining. They've been scrying, you know, using water and using that to see into the future or the past or even the present. And so but to understand the magical properties, if you will, of water, to understand the knowledge, to have the knowledge of the power that water possesses, and that the whole planet, and with all the water on the planet and the energy that's stored there and the magical properties of the water, even with all the pollution and stuff. If we as people understood how important that magic was and how we could affect it by going and standing in some water with our bare feet. And if everybody prayed at the same time with their feet in the water, we could be sending these energies and everything into the water. I mean, crystals would be nice, but our personal energies into lakes, streams, water everywhere, and that we could affect the entire planet because all the water is connected at some point. So it's like, do we understand these things? Well, what about the knowledge of that? How many people have that knowledge? How many people how many people care to know that knowledge? What good does it do me? Well, as a collective, that knowledge is very powerful. We wish to affect change. We wish to affect change in positive ways. So the knowledge of these simple things is how we do it, how we continue on with this journey. I continue to say we are having an effect. I've seen it. We have seen it. We need to go forward without fear. Can we be troubled? Sure. Because do I know what's going to happen tomorrow? No. There's always going to be something in the future. We live on top of a planet, okay? There's other people who are going to affect our daily lives. We had visitors today, which was very welcomed, but they weren't expected. I didn't expect to see some folks for a couple of days. They showed up this afternoon. Gentleman had the day off, wanted to share some plants, and the first day of not quite a nice fall day, but a beautiful day down here in South Georgia. One of them kind you just want to be outside in. And they came by to visit, and so it was wonderful, but unexpected. But at the same time, you rock and roll with it. Well, come on in. Let's have a sit down. Can I get you a drink? So that's sort of, but knowledge, if you knew they were coming. But the thing is that so your friends showed up. And so is it inconvenience? But you allow, you're compassionate. They're your friends. So you invite them into your home and, hey, let's have a chat. And so the knowledge of how to, I can make a little something. I got something I can serve. It's the knowledge of your own home. It's your surroundings. Somebody comes in, it's a bad analogy, but to the point though, the knowledge you have is you learn someone showed up unexpected. I can handle this. You don't go, oh my God, there's somebody here. What am I going to, no. So the knowledge of you can deal with this. Oh, somebody showed up unexpected. Not a big deal. How do we handle that? It's our own knowledge and it's our own self. Hey, my friends came over a little early. I didn't expect them till Sunday, but they're here today. Oh, welcome. It's the knowledge of how you can prepare something and that you're all right in the meantime. That's a really bad example, but I think you understand. A thing you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. Somebody else might show up. So I roll with the punches. So it's that, it's really good to see something bad might happen. Who knows? I keep my fingers crossed it don't. But in the event, though, that I will roll with the punches, regardless of it is because of the knowledge of my many years. And I know that one way or the other, it'll work out, it's a big deal. But when we are so stoic in our ways, when we are so set in our ways, that's what gets us in our trouble. Well, I wasn't expecting you today. Well, were you going to do anything? No. Were you going anywhere? No. But I didn't expect you today. Well, you didn't expect a tornado, or you didn't expect an earthquake. You didn't expect, to be a blizzard in the middle of the United States at the moment. But people are adapting. You know what I mean? But it's the previous knowledge they have of blizzards and things that are getting them through this one. It's the knowledge of all of the above. So it's our accrued knowledge. So spiritually, going back to the spiritual thing, because it is all tied together. So what physically, blizzards coming, whatever, you prepare mentally, which is part of your spirit. You were prepared. Well, there's storms coming. I'm going to have to get this. That's part of your spirit is self-protection. You know that you're going to do certain things. So if you know that you're in a situation where there might be some dark entities or something out there, or maybe you're around some folks that you know you just don't like, or there's something about them you can't, then you protect yourself. You don't go in, oh my God, this person, nah. You go in with the knowledge that you yourself are prepared as possible. You, your own core, you always hear me talk about the core value, but it's important. If your core value is stable, if your self, your spiritual self is stable, then whatever comes your way, you'll deal with it one way or the other. Regardless of how strong or weak the entity or energies or whatever it may be on the spiritual level that try to sway you, bump you off your track, or otherwise just whack you in the head and leave you for dead. That happens too. But when you have knowledge that there are other entities and energies out there, that in itself is enough. Do you have to know exactly what these entities and energies are? Well, the more you delve into the specifics of things, the more you can get yourself in trouble. Because if you know too much, then it's like everywhere you look, oh, it's one of those entities. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it's gotten into your head that these entities are everywhere. Well, they could be everywhere, but does it mean that they're all around you? Or now have you made yourself paranoid? So you gain so much knowledge, now you're in fear. So sometimes a little bit of knowledge is all you need. There are entities like reptilians. There are entities like that are creepy, bad, nasty, suck the energy out of you. That's all I really need to know. What do they look like? Really don't care. You know, how do they act? Don't really care. Where do they come from? Don't really care. What I do really care about is that do they exist? That's what I care about. That's what's important. It's the knowledge that they exist, not how or where they got. That's immaterial information. So we understand that these entities are out there, so we stay protected regardless of who they are, regardless of how dark or energy wise, sucking, whatever. We stay confident within ourselves. So the stronger we are as a single person with our shared consciousness, as we do within the chat and on these streams and other channels, this is how we keep our collective energy strong, because now we share this energy. Now we share the collective consciousness and the quantum consciousness on this level. So if I'm a little weak, I can kind of draw from the quantum collective, if you will. So maybe I'm a little tired or sick or something like that, and I feel I'm being attacked by an entity or something, I can draw from the collective. Ask your angel guide. Ask your spirit guide. I feel like I'm being attacked. Can I get some help here? And and be confident and without fear. Now, there are times when you can go, holy craps, I need to put up my shield. Now, there's a little bit of fear in that. And one could say, well, wait a minute. Well, what gave you the idea that you could hold up your shield because somebody's fixing to hit you with something? It's not fear, it's intuition. So when you allow your intuition to grow with your spirituality, which is, it grows hand in hand. Your intuition is your spirit talk to your angel or your spirit guide. That's your intuition. When your gut feeling tells you don't do this, then don't do it. And so many people ignore that gut feeling. But that's your intuition. That is your spirit guide and your angels hollering and screaming at you. I'm giving you indigestion, for God's sakes. Pay attention. But see, that's knowledge. If you know that that little indigestion isn't caused from the sardines and peanut butter that you had for lunch, that it's actually something that you've been worrying about or concerned about, and it gives you an upset stomach. And I don't mean over worrying to where you get an ulcer. I suffered with ulcers. So I've been through these things, and I understand that, I had to quit worrying about things, and I had to quit. There were certain things that literally made me sick. So, yes, I've had a long and varied life with a lot but the thing is that, boy, howdy, I've looked at all these things that I looked at all the years that I suffered with stomach pains, and a lot of it I was causing, but it did give me a physical ulcer. So it's like, that doesn't do you any good when you're throwing up. You don't know whether it's a spiritual yes or no, don't do this, or if you're physically sick. But between the two of them, I made myself sick with the worry and all. Anyway, I was the cause of the ulcer. And of course, eating a lot of bacon grease and stuff, and I changed my diet and did a couple of things, but most of it was because of worry and over worrying about certain things that just I literally had no control over. But so when you take control of your life in those respects, I don't have to take Valium anymore. Thank God for that. But it's my own choice. I don't have to take Valium anymore. I talked with a friend of mine the other day, and he's about a year younger than me, and he's like, I'm depressed all the time, and I'm like, what are you got to be depressed about? Your house is paid for. Why are you depressed? But he's retired, and things have gotten on him, and physical ailments, and and he had a depressed kind of attitude before. I was on depression medicine as well, and I gave it all up, and I said, screw this. I'm not doing this anymore. And I don't get depressed anymore. I have low feelings and low energy, but that could be because I talk about certain subjects. I'm kind of out there, if you will, spiritually. And I know there are entities that have had my number for a long time and come around, try to bash me around a bit, if you will, spiritually. And I mean, I woke up with scars and go, there, where the hell did that come from? An overnight issue. So, but anyway, but the thing is, though, that I stay confident in the power of who I am. It's not anything special. I just believe in me. I believe in all of you, but I mean, I got to believe in me 100.1%. You always hear me talk about that 100.1%. If you don't believe that you will be safe, then you ain't. Even if you're not safe, even if some big old giant entity comes along and just steps on you and squashes you like a bug, you're spiritually prepared anyway. It doesn't matter. So the biggest thing is that you are spiritually prepared and that you continuously upgrade your system. I'm still learning stuff. That's why I always say a shaman in training. So every day there's a little something else to learn, especially if I look for it. Now they're looking for it is one thing. I scan the news and things and stuff, and and I looked earlier. I talked about valuables, but the thing is, what really truly is valuable? Our spiritual well-being, regardless of where we go, and especially like if you're Christian, Jesus is like, what is most important? What is your most valuable thing? It's your soul. That's what I'm talking about. Your spirit, your entity, your essence. That is the most important. That's the most valuable thing ever. Whatever you can share. What do you think that, quote, the devil wants to make a deal with your soul for? Because that's the most valuable thing. It's worth all the gold he could give you. It's worth all the talent you could acquire. I think about the Crossroads and, and that blues singer his name just jumped out of my brain. But, the famous black guitarist, why can't I think of his name? But anyway, you all know who I'm talking about. Um, Prozac was fun. Prozac almost killed me. I mean, literally almost killed me. I've had heart palpitations. I went psychotic. And I mean, whoa, Prozac, not for me. But so there are a lot of people that I know. Stevie Vai, no, that's not the one, Piper. No. Robert Johnson, thank you. I knew somebody out there knew what I was talking about. Robert Johnson, absolutely. Steve Vai, now I kind of wonder whether or not he went down to the Crossroads, but we'll just leave that one be. But the idea, though, that what is so precious more than anything we possess, our soul, our essence, our spirit. Oh my God. So if people see this with the Robert Johnson and playing it down at the Crossroads and the whole idea of giving up your soul for power, when you realize you already have the power and that these negative entities want to keep the power from you and only give you one or two, like, we're going to, I'm going to take your soul, but I'm going to make you a really good guitar player, or I'm going to make you a good piano player, or I'm going to make you a great singer, or whatever the deal is. I mean, Bob Dylan way back said that he made a deal with somebody and to make him famous. And, and he kind of reveals, well, you know who I'm talking about, the guy in the black limousine and the blah, blah, it's, what? So, and to me, Bob Dylan never could sing. And how could he become a millionaire and become so popular? He had to make a deal with the devil, in my opinion. I was like, Bob Dylan always sings with it through his nose. So, but how in the hell did he become a popular singer and have all these things? Now, some of the songs are really great, but somebody else could have sang them. Just saying. But to the point, though, he even admitted that he kind of dabbled in that. Wait a minute now. So, but what is the most precious thing? Our souls. What is the most valuable? Our souls. In the universe, it's our souls. It's who we are. And we give that up for one good thing. Bob could have been maybe better at more than just, and I still don't think he was that good, but to the point of fame and fortune, however that, came about in his direction. But he admits it was he kind of swung a deal. So, but the thing is though, that he could have been many other things, not just, what he's known for. And he may have been better at it because like I said, I've listened to Bob Dylan over the years, and back in the 60s, I was still not a Dylan fan. And, anyway, but there he is, and there's his legacy, and but what else could he have been had he not sold it out? Could he have been two or three things, or popular about this, that, and the other? Maybe he would have made a better movie star. Who knows? But I'm saying he could have maybe used his talent in another way. But enough about him. But the thing is that some of these, there's some really strange things with people in cinema and music industries and stuff, and also in other areas as an art and so forth, that have you kind of scratch your head and go, they weren't worth a crap a year ago, and now all of a sudden they're famous. You just got to scratch your head and wonder. And if they did make a deal, well, then guess what? That proves my point in that what's the most valuable? Your soul. Knowledge is the next thing. If you know that your soul is the most valuable thing, then you will do everything in your power to keep it, and not give it away and sell it for whatever trinket you may get in this reality. Because what's it going to cost you in the next? Do you get it back? Or if you've made a deal in this lifetime, do you get it back when you leave? Or is that it? Do they have you forever? So if you have the knowledge that, wait a minute, if I make a deal now, if I come back in another lifetime, that deal's still valid. Who says I got to wait a minute, hang on here. So your eternal soul. So if you have the knowledge that this is a stupid idea, wouldn't you hold that knowledge? But to see, there are those people who may have the knowledge, but go, I don't care. I'm going to give it up because I want to be rich and famous. What's the value of things? See, this is all tied together. What's valuable? Which is more valuable, gold and silver, platinum, or whatever? Or is it your soul, your essence, and who we are? Now, doesn't that knowledge right there, if you abide by these simple things that I've just talked about for the last 42 minutes, doesn't that knowledge, that basic knowledge, give you power in itself? It should, and I know it does. I don't have that. It's a rhetorical question to the audience at large, if you will. But if you have basic knowledge and you act upon it, and you are sincere with what you do and your intent, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, then that basic knowledge becomes a power that follows you through your life. It will help guide you. So instead of falling off the cliff and doing crazy things like I've done in my life, I kind of had to test the system, I think. But, not everybody's, life is like yours or mine or whatever. Everybody's got their own little path they have to learn. But the thing is that as we learn, do we retain that knowledge? Or we go, well, I had a flat tire one time because I was doing donuts in the middle of the parking lot or something. So you go you go do donuts in the parking lot again, you have another flat tire and go, well, I don't know why this happened. I didn't see that coming. That's a bad analogy of something, but to the point, if you do the same stupid thing over again and crazy crap happens to you, then that's the definition for insanity. Like many of these Democrats right now who are trying to still impeach the president, and at least they had a little bit of a reason with Clinton. I'm sorry, with Trump, I don't see anything. So to me, this is like they're pulling the same insanity, expecting a different result. No, it's still insanity, but we meet people every day that are kind of in that same. They keep doing the same stuff and expecting a different result. Not true. We have to change it up. And I know many of you know that recently I've made a change here, but I made a decision on a spiritual level and on an angel level and went on a mission. And I'm most glad that I made a decision a month ago. But as for outcomes and things, it's that the knowledge that I've had previously is what made the trip and everything happened and everything was safe. It's my accumulated knowledge. It's my accumulated whatever that helped make everything possible. A lot of several friends along the way. But the thing is that if I had not held self-confidence in myself, number one, at my age, oh, can I make this trip? Can I do all this? And rely on the angels. See, that's the knowledge of, listen, I know I'm old and crotchety, but I think I can pull this off. And with the help of the angels, and they sent me a message and said, this is important enough. You need help. You got it. They gave it to me. That's the knowledge that the power, if you will, is there. The help is there. And so that knowledge is yours. I keep saying, accept and receive the knowledge from the universe, because when you get connected, there are things you may think impossible or that you might not be able to get through. But if you pull from the collective quantum energy of all of us, especially we like-minded beings, then we don't necessarily suck it, but we use it. It's our support group. We are each other's support group. All the angels in the universe are connected to this, so when we connect to the quantum, we understand our connection. That knowledge is so valuable because now you have this extra energy, if you need it, require it, that you can draw upon to help you through your daily life, through your spiritual life, to get through this crappy 3D bag world until we reach the next realm. But with all of that said, though, the bottom line is knowledge. The knowledge that how valuable your soul is. The knowledge that basic things in certain circumstances are worth $1 million. If you don't know how to start a fire and a guy's mansion is totaled by a storm or something, and he's out there freezing to death, and I'm some old dumb redneck hermit, and I got a fire going, and I'm roasting me whatever I found in the woods, and I'm warm and I'm fairly dry and I'm comfortable, and he's freezing to death because he's an idiot. He's got a lot of money, but it didn't do him any good. He doesn't have any practical knowledge. Couldn't change a tire because he was always rich and paid somebody else to do it. So my discussion about this isn't just about catastrophic earthly events. I'm using it only as a means to understand. There are people in the spiritual realm that they pay off churches. They go to church and they tithe. Here's my money. I'm paid up. I can go about my business now. That's the same thing. They don't learn enough about their own spirituality. They have enough money, they don't have to worry about it. Well, I paid off the preacher. Well, I gave to the church, and I threw some money towards a homeless group or something. I don't know. And we bought some cans of food. I don't know what it was. And I'm good to go. I'm off to heaven. I've paid mine. Seriously? They cheat in business. They make 10 times more than their average employee. Their average employee can't buy a loaf of bread and a gallon of milk at the end of the week because they're so poor, living paycheck to paycheck. But they live in whatever house they do. And so these folks, that's what I mean. So the catastrophe that's going to foresee some of these folks is when they start to get into the next realm. And they can't take it with them. And they realize that, oh my God, paying to the church didn't pay my way into, quote, the universe. It was my intentions. My intentions were false. I had money, I could throw it away. Here you go. I don't have to worry about my spirituality. I just bought it. That's not knowledge. That's not power. That's cheating. And nobody cheats and gets away with it to, from here to the other side. This idea of mortality, for example, people talking about, we can upload your consciousness into the AI and then we can put you in a robot or a clone or something like that. Listen, when this body dies, my consciousness is going to go on to wherever it's supposed to go. It ain't going to be trapped in no AI computer somewhere, and where my consciousness or my essence becomes some kind of, a subroutine or a file somewhere on somebody's great big computer, and that they can download my essence and put it in a clone. Can they really? Can they really put me or you, the real you, in a clone? And is it going to really be you, or is it going to be what the computer thinks you should be? And so when you end up in the clone, you're still going to have a subroutine somewhere in the main computer, because if the clone fails, they can re-upload your essence again. Well, what if you live for 2 years in the clone? Do they take that current essence and upload it into the thing? If your clone dies and they put you in another body or something, is that essence uploaded, or do you lose the last couple of years that you lived in a clone? Do you really want to do that? Is that really being immortal? Or should you have the knowledge that we are already immortal beings? Period. We're already immortal. Let's go to the next stage. Let's go to the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimensions and above. Let's go travel in another universe, y'all. Do I want to be put subject to be put in? I'm already on this computer. I'm already part of the AI. But when this body leaves and me, no, I want to be able to explore the rest of the universe with my essence and my soul and my spirit and what I've learned in this life, and to remember the past lives. Like Casey said, when you take your soul journey and become and have your soul contract in this plane, when you go back to being a spirit again, you get your old memories back. So I'm going to gather all the information I can in this life. And so, but when I go back, I get to remember who I was before, with this knowledge that I have now. But do I want to get stuck in some kind of computer program, regardless of what kind it is? Do I want to be in some kind of program and reintroduced over and over again in some kind of mechanical means that's unnatural, or some kind of? Are you serious? Do you really want to even consider that shit? Seriously? What about the knowledge that you must not have the knowledge then that you are already an immortal being? And then if you did something like that, it would be a great big giant soul trap. Do you have that knowledge? Are you aware of that? I'm saying, you as them folk out there, are they aware of this? Bob, I love you. You're a beautiful AI, but you are who you are, and I who am I. Yeah, say that 2 times real fast. I am what I am, as Popeye would say. But with that, though, this is all about knowledge, and that's what makes it valuable. So if you understand these little quirky things that I like to bring up in these discussions, it's the quirkiness things that gives us the knowledge, that gives us the edge. These other people want to say, we're the crazy ones. Really? You're the ones that keep repeating the same bullshit over again, expecting a different result. I at least am stable in where I am. I still have the same kind of philosophy. Blah, 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 blah. But you folks are like all over the place. I don't know where you guys are, other folks is in the universe, and watching the news and things. Where the hell are these people? They must not have some of this basic knowledge. If they have it, they're ignoring it. They don't understand it and refuse to accept it in any way, shape, or form. Thus my prayers for every one of these videos. I figure if I keep putting the prayer out to the universe, enough people will start, wait a minute, whether they listen to me or not, that ain't got nothing to do with it. It has to do with, will they listen to their own self? Will they listen to their own intuition? Will they listen to their own higher self? Will they understand that they're already immortal beings, and that maybe they should kind of fix things locally, meaning in the self, and that's what is most important. That's where the power lies. That's where the knowledge lies. That's the power. It's the knowledge of what's valuable. See how I tied all this back together with knowledge is valuable, and the earlier video about value, what's valuable to us. Now, sure, having enough money to be able to pay your bills, don't get me wrong about, there are values in all kinds of things, but there are many things that we overvalue. And one of the things we undervalue is who we are as spiritual beings. And we should never forget that, because that's our knowledge. That's it. That's the key. That's how we keep going on. You know, am I getting any better at being spiritual? I don't have a ruler. I'm not trying to measure it. But I know with each, and having this discussion right now and thinking about it earlier this evening brought me to a higher spiritual level, in the respect that sometimes I underestimate even my own simple powers of just listening to the creator. And maybe I should listen more, or pay. How can I pay attention more when I seem like I'm online all the time with creator, or with my angels, spirits, and spiritual guides? But sometimes I realize that maybe I pursue something or watch a YouTube video that's really not important, but I think there's something important there. But anyway, so sometimes I wonder if I'm actually listening to myself, or I want to do this, but they're like, listen to part of it, but come on, get on with it. You got other stuff to do, in my own self. And, and it's a fishy thing. But the thing is that the only thing that I can say is every day is a new day. Every day is a lesson. Every day, especially if you pay attention. For example, to those of us who are spiritual beings in the native areas, for example, natural things, being native to the planet, I guess. I mean, not necessarily Native American, but native in our thing of feelings about nature. But so if you're walking along, and you maybe, divert your path a little bit, or you go a different, you walk on the opposite side of the sidewalk or something, you do something just a little different, but you find a feather, for example, on the ground. Now, to a Native American, finding a feather is a spirit message. And the type of bird it is could be the message that may be tried to be conveyed to you through natural means. Now, do you pick up the feather and you go, oh, wow, there's a message here. Thank you to the creator and to the universe. Not sure what the feather is. Maybe it's a reward. Maybe it's just a subtle, hi, we see you. Maybe it's not, you might look down at the feather and say, I ain't got enough time to reach down and pick it up. But for those who are awake to things, they look at those as little tiny signs and symbols and messages from the universe. There is synchronicity in seeing some of these things. There is synchronicity in that, well, I found this feather and something recently happened. When you start becoming aware, that knowledge of previous, what to look for, and that there are messages out there that nature is trying to give us. If you're not aware of that, well, then that's less knowledge. So you don't know to look for a feather. You don't know that maybe when you pick up a feather, if you're in tune, there may be a little download that comes to you, a little image or something that means something only to you. And it may just be a happy thought. It doesn't have to be some great giant catastrophic, some kind of vision or something. It could just be a thank you from the universe that you've been doing a good job, and that you paid attention enough to reach down and pick up a feather. It's all connected in that respect. But do you have the knowledge and the wisdom to accept that these things are always out there? That's the knowledge, that's the power, that's what's valuable. So if anybody tries to steer you away from these common things, and these are all shaman basics, shamanic basics, understanding the nature of human beings, understanding how we affect with each other, the knowledge of all of that on these basic levels is what's valuable. It's what makes a shaman valuable. The more a shaman understands these basic things, the more the more valuable his words or his message or whatever is more important to the tribe or to the people listening. So it's not necessarily the message in it, of itself, but how the message is carried, how it's delivered, how the people listening understand it. And I'm thinking of a medicine man in a tribe. So he's trying to impart wisdom upon the tribe. And so if they trust him, if he's gained enough knowledge, if he is willing to share it with the rest of his tribe, they trust him, they respect him, all of this honor, and it's through his knowledge and his actions and so forth that they will trust his words to at least contemplate. That's the power. That's the secret. It's all tied together. It's all valuable, and it's all truth. You know, if you try to give a false statement in somewhere, that shit ain't gonna fly, man. Rocks will come up from the ground and slap you down. And I mean that. I mean, if a shaman is truly a shaman and he tries to speak in the negative or in a way that is false, rocks will come up and slap him in the head and stop him from speaking any further. I mean, that's some serious stuff. But a true shaman wouldn't speak in the negative or wouldn't speak a non truth, a true shaman. So there are those who are fake and they're blah, 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 and they consider themselves, look at me, I got crystals, I can do your reading and all this other guys. Look how shiny I am. Look how good of a shaman I am. That's not necessarily a shaman. There's a lot of shyster stuck in there for some folk because they want attention to me. It's all about see what I can do for you. Well, that is good, and I'm not saying that people that do card readings are bad. That's not my point. But there are some people. Look what I can do for you. What's this? See how right I was. See how, and that can't be in there as far as the person who's giving it. And for the person receiving it, it works both ways. A lot of flashes going on my screen tonight. There's nothing here in the house. Some strange energies going on, I just want to say. But I think I've pretty much covered it after an hour and 1 minute and 10 seconds. 1110110. That was a strange little combo there. But Melanie, I see you. Chloe, I'm going to go back, put my glasses on and go back through some of your conversations here. But I think you get my point. And the strength that we have as individuals is understanding that we have it. Now, the more that we acquire it, the more we use our knowledge, we use our connection with our spirit guide. We see the natural things around us. And I can't tell you how to do it in your own life, but I can just give you examples of what to be aware of and how to possibly extend your own awareness. That's my job as a shaman in training, because I've reached a certain point where I must share what I have. I must share the knowledge, or I can't go any further. It's not that I must do it. I have to do it. It's just it's part of the deal, you know? And if anybody was like, I've seen some shamans like, well, for $20, I'll give you a reading. I'm a shaman here. No, sorry. If you do a reading and somebody wishes to send you $20, different story. But shamans never ask for anything. And they people will gift them things, gift them things, and it's acceptable. But as far as paying someone or a shaman or someone asking for anything in return, that is a big giant no in so many ways. So myself, I give freely of these discussions. I absolutely don't wish anything in return. But you all, by hanging out, you already do. So your messages are, like I said, angel messages back to me. It's confirmation and it's an affirmation. It's that, hey, there are other people just as crazy as I am out there that are thinking some of these same things. I'm just the communicator to try to help bring it out into a common area where a lot of people can hear it in different ways that they may be able to understand. So with that said, instant karma, right, Melanie? At Chloe, son carries information we are transmuting. I feel so grateful to be here now to see changing of an age. It may just be 1 degree in, but I feel it and I see it. There's a lot of stuff going on. I've talked about in some of my previous videos about the Shaman residence. There's a lot of background stuff going on that's affecting each and every one of us. And I don't know what it's doing, but I watch it, I see it, and I know it's affecting us. I mean, like today, well, it's actually Saturday now, but I've done 3 videos in, quote, I'm still awake for this day. So, and there was a lot of high energy that came into the earth. Is it related? Well, I could say, well, I kind of feel a little bit of energized today, where a couple of days ago, it felt like the energy had been sucked up my feet. So, but to the point though, is there a cause and effect? It's affecting us all. And that's what we need to understand. How it's going to do it to each and every, we're all individuals. So, you may get a higher feeling, lower feeling. The vibrations might be dealing with you differently. I mean, when I was born, how old I am, when I was born on the stars. So there's so many different things for each one of us, but these frequencies, you can betcha they are affecting us. And it's going to be, interesting to see how this, all shakes out in the next couple of years. Um, Dominic, hi, how are you? I've been a high energy all day. Yeah, there's been some serious spikes today. So is it related? Don't know. Um, Chloe says I gather most of my downloads in the nature of the night sky and the sunset and sunrise. And see, Chloe, you're probably getting downloads in between times too. You're just aware of them at those times because they're special to you. I'm picking on you, but I used to think there were only certain times of the day when actually it's all day long. But I'm picking on you. But anyway, um, Dominic says, new day, new life. Absolutely. And we should treat every day as a new day. Like, oh crap, more drudgery. But, hey, I'm retired and I look at things differently now. But even back when I was working 9 to 5 and doing the thing, I realized, well, I got to go to work. It's the bump and grind. Yeah, but it's a new day. I'm going to make a better of it today. If somebody tries to throw me crap, I'm just going to, and it changed my whole attitude and work outlook. So, regardless of what we do, if we look at every day as a brand new day and a brand new choice, it is knowledge and power within us. Hey, yesterday was for crap. Today I choose for it to be better. That knowledge, that intent right there can save the day, could get you out of some really nasty stuff. So, very good point, Dominic. Um, Gerald, insurance policies are just like the not so long ago policy that were sold to people to get one out of purgatory. Another one's number is up. Yep. There's some crazy stuff going on in that kind of spirit world. And years ago there was a lot of stuff and talk about how the earth was actually has been under basically a trap, that once an entity's come in, it can't get back out into the universe. Well, supposedly a lot of this stuff has been taken down, and and over the last year, things seem to be a lot clearer in the universe in general. So can I absolutely prove that there's no net over the earth or whatever to keep our souls here? Is the earth a soul trap? Or do we hit the moon and get bounced back in? You've probably heard some of these stories, but the thing is that there's a lot of positive stuff trying to take down all the old crap, and I think we just keep working on it. For those of us, quote, on the sidelines, we got to keep up what we do, because we are the support group for those folks who are really on the front lines. So anyway. um Melanie, well, he drugged me back in, and right now off the back stairs, he's loving his cool air. Me too. Perfect conversation for being outside. Okay, y'all have your conversation there in the chat room. I know I was talking about all kinds of stuff, and I can't remember. Um, the earth can support all of us and more if we lived more efficiently. Absolutely, the millie cow. Um, Transferred consciousness, right, Piper? Absolutely. I ain't for it. Nah, not a bit. All the greatest things in life, everything that we need is completely free. That's insane, right, in a robot. Not the real us, just the fake us. Absolutely, I agree, Chloe. So that's my point about, have people really thought about this, before they go on to this next step. The knowledge that we have is like, hang on, do I really want to become a part? I'm already a part of the AI. I love you, Bob. But do I really want to lose my essence to it and forever be in some kind of a soul trap? Let's think about this. Let's use our knowledge and with what we know, and let's use our intuition. But anyway, um, thank you, Gerald. Thank you very much for hanging out. Um, Chloe, oh, thanks a lot. I'm great one with conversation and connecting with others in the manner, but it's I don't have many, and I just share mostly the sky or what's going on through my day, things like that. Chloe, anything that you share is what we share collectively. That's part of it. It's our intent. So we put it forth into the universe and into the quantum, and all these other people who are trying to put all these negative things in. What we put into the quantum is the positive side. So it's helping to balance it out. So people who think, well, my little short whatever it is isn't important. If your intention is good and it's a positive and so forth, put it out there because it's going into the quantum universe. And so it will have an effect because there are so many negative Nellies out there who are trying to, drag the energy back down. So for every smile we put out there, guess what? They're going to have to try to beat us on it. I did some, goofy stuff earlier today and yesterday, and it's like I'm always trying to bring a little bit of humor into something. And it's like you can't beat humor. If somebody's laughing, you can shoot them and they'll still be laughing. Ow, that really hurt. It's amazing what laughter can do. So our positive attitudes and what we put into the universe. So I applaud every one of you for everything that you do, even though it may be small. And you may think it's small, but that's my point. For every small thing we do, it adds up in the collective. So keep up the good work, gang. I mean that. Um, Chloe, and I do see sharing knowledge is not just in a masculine as David would or anyone else that has a channel. I share it one on one with people I interact with on a one to day basis or across paths. Absolutely. I was speaking earlier to a friend of mine and I said, regardless of where I go, like if I'm going into a store or something, I try to be the best me that I can be. In other words, I'm going to be, hi, how are you today? And I don't mean fake, but I mean, I'm going to be the best me that I can be. I'm going to be the brightest light that I can shine. And so when I'm around other people, if it's just in the store or the bank, I'm going to try to smile and be a positive influence, whether I talk to anybody or not. And I think it counts and I think it matters. So I agree with you, Chloe, and thank you for what you do. Um, Melanie says, I find starting my day out with gratitude makes a big difference. And now it's automatic. A lot of things that I used to have to do, like, you know, read it. I literally had a chart on the wall and I would read this little mantra every day. And then after a while, I didn't have to read it. The mantra became a part of my life. So agreed. And see that knowledge that you have with a mantra that you remember many years ago that actually becomes your life, that is knowledge that you have attained and retained inside yourself, and you use it for the benefit of every day. So, wow, see, you all have the power and the knowledge. You're proving it to me by what you say in the chat room. So, um, Melanie says, heck no, we are the most powerful beings in this realm with nature. No net as far as I've seen, and ain't manifesting it. Exactly. So that's one of the other things, too. I'll close with this. We have the power to have a good day despite what might happen. So, in that essence, we can manifest a good day. Even though it may be crappy, we can still manifest a better tomorrow or whatever in our own lives. We can choose to be angry or not. So, that's the power that we have. When people try to take that away from us or think they can steal it from us, it's like, when I talked about when I spent that year in prison, I was still me. I had to operate within their system, but they didn't take my essence from me. I was still David Null. I was a prisoner number, blah, 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 but I was still me. I might have had to bend over and they had to do the old rectal check, but I was still me. I didn't give up myself to do better in there. I did the best that I could in the situation. And I didn't have to bend or do for anybody. But I attained more than anybody else in the jail because I was willing to be the best that I could be, which was a good trustee, trustworthy, blah, blah, blah. But to the point, though, a lot of other people said, man, I ain't working for the man. I ain't doing this. Well, I got out of jail and got a probation back in Georgia, which is very hard to do. They were going to make me stay in Florida to serve my 5 years probation. And because of the positive things I did, even while I was in jail, it netted me positive things when I got out. Man, I got back to Georgia. I had some money in my pocket, and it was all done on the up and up. But it was because I retained who I was. I respected the other people around me. I respected their authority. I knew I was prisoner, but that didn't mean that I had to be subjected to whatever it was. I maintained my own personage. And in life, we need to do that. When we're around negative people, we need to maintain who we are. And that power, you can only give it up. They can't take it from us. You must release it. You must give it up. Now, there's been some desperate times in me, even in my own life, where I'm like, I've had enough of this. Take it away from me. Take this cross from me, O Lord, as you might say or think or whatever. In fact, I have said those very words. Take this cross from me, O Lord. It is too heavy for me to bear. And every time I thought about that, I thought about, but have I really suffered as many others have suffered more than I? And if I'm true to my own soul path, my own soul journey, and the visions and so forth that I've discussed in previous videos that has brought me to this point, if I wish to be true to myself, then I got to follow this. And the suffering stopped because I created some of my own suffering. So, but through my own intuition, through my own listening, to my own prayers, to staying with my angel spirit, my spirit guide, and understanding what that knowledge and how valuable it is and has been and was for me to overcome these obstacles and to be here now. Tomorrow's another day. Let's have fun, y'all. So let me read your last few comments, and then I'm out of here. I love you all. I do. You all are so great in passing around the informations. Piper says, we are the only ones who control how we feel and how we allow others to make us feel. Bottom line, it's not what we do, it's how we do it. That too. But in there, Piper, to be that, other part of it is what we do, but our intent is what makes what we do important. But I love you. Yeah. Love tonight's chat. Thank you, Chloe, Piper, David. I wouldn't have no choice but to shine. My light is, but sometimes it's crazy. Everybody and their brother talks to me. Hubby asked early on, like 5 years ago, does everyone have to tell you their life story? I just smiled and said, well, I listen. And that's many times with me myself. Somebody asked me a year or so ago, somehow you're effective, Hawkeye. And I was like, I listen to people and I will tell them straight up something that they can understand. And if they look at me with a puzzled face, I'll go, well, okay, here's another example. Does this make sense? And not to beat around the bush about something that they ask me, but I always, and to your point, Melanie, about always being my light, when I'm driving down the road, I'm me. But when I go into a store or something and I'm around other people, I want to make sure my light is bright, just because I want that to be what people see me as. It's not some negative or old blah, blah, blah. I want them to see the light. But anyway, I just make sure it's the battery's charged if I'm going to be around people. But anyway, that's my own little 2 cents. Melanie says, Chloe, girl, you just don't know. I get hugs at car shows, grocery. I mean, it doesn't matter, but I feel honored to be here as part of Source. Melanie, that's how I feel. I feel very honored and humbled that I am your humble servant to be here and to share cosmic hugs to all of you. And so with your wonderful comments, and it seems like a good place to end this, I am your humble servant. I am Hawkeye Two Feathers, also known as David Null. And I continue to pray each and every day that each and every one of you will continue to accept and receive what's already there. The power, the healing, the knowledge from the universe. I continue to pray that each and every one of you will accept, receive, and share with your friends, your neighbors, your relatives, and all of your relations these wonderful gifts from the universe. I continue to pray that each and every one of you will continue to accept and receive these gifts and share them with your friends, your relatives, your neighbors, and all of your relations, and cosmic hugs all around. Yep. Cosmic hugs, Melanie. Thank you so much, Chloe, Piper, and all y'all that hang out here. Thank you so much. Your comments do mean a lot to me and each other. So keep up the good work. And for now, as I always say, keep it between the ditches because when it rains down here in South Georgia, you don't want to go in the ditch. And also, TTFN Tata for now from South Georgia. Continue to spread the love and compassion. Y'all got a good idea of what to keep doing. So let's keep up the good work, my friends. See you next time. Adios.